So I was on Twitter yesterday, actually, just scrolling the TL as I do, and this
Perusing
popped
the
up.
feed.
Yeah, exactly. This popped up. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. This comrade says, "Hey, Aaron Maté, TYT just attacked you." To which Aaron responds, "So I heard. I can guarantee that they lied and distorted par for the course. I'll respond, but promise not to waste as much time on them as last time." And of course, he's referencing to that occasion when he was smeared as a Russian asset, a Russian agent with no evidence from the folks at TYT, specifically Anna Kasparian. They don't do any original journalism, so all they can muster is smearing those who do. And that's 100% correct. Jordan Cheriton was their actual reporter. He was their actual journalist, and he was fired some years ago now. So Aaron's right. They don't actually do any journalism. This is the kind of content they have to resort to now. But yeah, there was that tweet, and then there was this tweet, which started it all. Aaron was in the replies of Cenk Uygur. Nothing triggers Cenk more than seeing you in his replies talking shit. And of course, this is in reference to this story about this Russian warship, which turned out to be not exactly false, but misreported on. And we'll get into all the details of that here. But basically, Aaron Maté is pointing out the fact that he was unintentionally spreading misinfo, or at least misreporting on a story. Of course, we'll hear Cenk's defense in a second here. I guess we can get right into that and just start playing this TYT video on the subject matter to hear all the context about what exactly what the story was all about that they fucked up, and how they respond to Aaron Maté for calling them out on fucking it up. But really interesting stuff. Interesting story for sure.
But Russia apologists like Aaron Maté, Tim Pool, people like that, felt like this was a big gotcha for people who had reported on the original story. Not a gotcha if the story gets updated and then you do the update as we're doing right now. In fact, one of those people is Aaron Maté. I want to just share this quick exchange that he had with Cenk. Cenk writes, "My new motto in life is Russian warship, go F yourself," making a reference to the original video that we talked about. And Maté says his favorite word, of course, which, it's a little funny in this context. "McCarthyite dupe, go fact check yourself."
That's hilarious. So a couple of things about that. Number one, he's asking me to fact check whether my new motto is Russian warship, go after yourself. I did fact check that. It turns out it's still my new motto. So fact check completed.
Award-winning journalist, Cenk.
Okay,
award-winning journalist.
What a weird thing to ask someone to fact check. I mean, you're not asking me to fact check whether they died or not. You're asking me to fact check whether that's my motto. Why did you respond to that tweet? Because he wants to get at me. And he's trying to find a tweet like where he's like, okay, now I could pretend he got it wrong here.
You're just you're a Western chauvinist, Cenk.
Of course,
a Western a McCarthyite Western chauvinist. I mean, does anyone take this guy seriously?
Well, not anymore.
How can you guys, all you can do is laugh at this guy at this point.
Yeah, although the people who did take him seriously should send in apologies, not to us, but
to us,
to their audience.
Us.
No, but okay, fine, sure, to us, particularly Dana, but to your audience, to your readers, to anyone who follows you on Twitter.
Sorry, guys.
You should send an apology saying, "I'm so sorry, I misled you by taking these guys seriously." Now, look back to
worse.
It's going to get much worse. You hold on, but I
want to just pause this for a second because they take absolutely no time to acknowledge the fact that they were so obviously misleading their audience. Like, this was the whole thing. That's why I wanted to point out that you guys probably know what video we're talking about, the one that's been debunked. It was literally everywhere. Anybody that had, like, Vosh was tweeting it out, reacting to it. Anybody that had a little Ukrainian flag in their Twitter handle, I feel like retweeted this video where it was like the translation, like, what's his fuck? Jason Kander from Kansas tweeted out this video. Everybody was tweeting out this video. Oh, sorry, Missouri. I said Kansas. Fuck me. I'm just as bad as the people who aren't from here. But anyway, it was the aerial footage. Basically, they were on this little island. Looks like a military-only island. And the Russians are on the phone telling them that they're going to be captured. And it's in Ukrainian, so it's all translated. But they're like, "Should we tell him to go fuck themselves?" And then he's like, "I'm going to tell him to go fuck himself." And then they say, "Go fuck yourself." And then everybody was cheering, and it was all like, "Wow, these brave men likely sacrificed. It was implied heavily at the time that they'd sacrificed themselves to this bloodthirsty Russians that were going to execute them for daring to fucking talk back to them as they were being taken prisoner, right? And this whole idea was like, wow, look at this valor, look at this act of courage, look at this, unwavering resolve in the face of terror, right? All this kind of stuff. And they were trying to sow a very obvious like anti-Russia sentiment in their viewers because of that. And yet they just don't acknowledge that absolutely at all. That was so clearly what he was pointing out was incorrect, but we'll get into all of that.
Right. And TYT did that. They straight up reported that these people were dead. We can play this segment later if you want. But yeah, Cenk is like, and they all died very solemnly, and they all were killed. Yeah. Anyway, but it's definitely part of this broader trend where it's like there's all these kind of like, I don't know what the correct term for it is, because some of it's based in reality, but a lot of it's exaggerated. So it's not quite fake news, but it's like people taking little slivers of truth and then like giving it like the action movie treatment, where it's like, let's make this seem like it's right out of a heroic war movie or some fucking like Marvel movie, like the Ghost of Kiev, the fighter pilot that like downed 18 Russian warships or like whatever the fuck, all this stuff, and then you find out later that it's like, oh, actually that was highly exaggerated. But yeah, all these people like Vosh and Cenk are out here like spreading it gleefully because again, this is all just like some fucking Avengers movie to them or something like that. But let's take a little bit more of a look here, and to be fair, I like to talk shit, but to be fair, yes, they are offering a correction. That's what they're supposed to do. So, it is what it is. That's what they're supposed to do.
The framing never changes, which is the one thing that I think Aaron was trying to point out. And that's why they're going so far away, running away with it like this, is to keep it away from the conversation of their just dog shit framing. But anyway.
Right. And it's about to get even juicier. You can tell that little spat with Aaron Maté some months ago really got under Cenk and Anna's skin, and he lives rent-free in their head to this day, because they did a 17-minute video called Ukrainian soldiers survive attack from Russian warship, but like 90% of the video is just talking smack on Aaron Maté, so you can see where their priorities really are.
They're getting on that Gawker leftist game like the Vanguard.
To fact check, okay? Everyone thought they were dead. The Ukrainian government said they were dead. And by the way, the buildings were bombed. So I don't know how they got off the island. And by the way, I also don't necessarily believe the Ukrainian government's version of the story, that a civilian ship pulled up, took them out off the island, and then that ship got captured. It's possible the Russians landed and then they surrendered. We don't know. Okay? I'm not taking any government's word for it. But in the beginning, they say that it appears the government says they're all dead, and it appears that the island has been bombed. So, okay, if you can't report that, you literally can't report anything in the middle of a war.
No, but like, what was the point of that, really? What was the point of that? Was the point to show, oh, look at how compassionate the Russian troops are? They didn't actually murder these people.
Yeah, they only kidnapped them.
They only kidnapped them. They're now only made prisoners of war. It's not a big. Putin is such a great, compassionate guy, right, Aaron Maté? He can't help himself. That's the amazing thing. The dude who spends all day on Twitter searching phrases like, or words like Putin and Russia, so he can go after anyone who dare say anything that offends his daddy, his lovely little daddy who's so compassionate and so awesome. I love the fact that now they're twisting themselves into pretzels, trying to figure out what their talking points are to be when they've been shilling for Russia and Putin for literally years. What's your talking point now? I can't wait for the headlines that are about to emerge from Gray Zone and all these other authoritarian apologists, right? Ukraine invaded itself.
Yeah, they'll say anything. They'll say anything.
Right.
So, but one more thing before we get to how much worse it's gonna get. Guys, my first reaction when I found out that they had not been killed was, oh, thank God they're alive. Right? Because we thought they were all dead after such a brave thing to say, Russian warship, go after yourself, and it looks like they got hit with a bomb. And I remember thinking and saying, and I said it later in the show that day, imagine if you're their dad of the guy who said it, right? Or the son, or we don't know their family situation, but that's gotta be heartbreaking. So when I heard they were alive, I was like, yes, that was my first reaction. Aaron Mate's first reaction was, yes, now we will pretend that everything is a lie about Russia and that Russia's innocent of everything.
This is just a complete meltdown, but it's also just journalistic malpractice, right? Because I do want to get in here really quickly and just let because they're pretending that Aaron Maté is one of the people out here who's just like a senseless cheerleader of Russia and, will defend and simp for Russia at all costs. There are people who are out there doing that. Let's be clear about that. Not anybody with a really important platform, so it's like, it's not the end of the world. But some people are out here extremely hard simping for Russia. But Aaron's just not one of those guys, right? He's just not. Let me read you Aaron's tweets from February 24th, right when it really became a full-on invasion of Ukraine. Aaron, and let's just I'll throw it up on the screen so everybody can see too. No reason for me to not do that really quickly. So, okay, Aaron Maté on Twitter. Let's read this together. I did not think that Russia would invade Ukraine. The pushback from Kiev and other European allies to U.S. warnings, coupled with the long history of Western intel deceptions, were the main reasons. I was wrong. Wow, sounds like a strong start for a guy that will never under any circumstances admit that he was wrong or do anything but simp for Russia, as they've portrayed him on TYT. Russia's attack is illegal. Yep. It is also exactly what the U.S. would have done had Russia done to Canada what U.S. did to Ukraine. That's also 100% true. I would agree with that. Pledge hostile military alliance membership, back a coup, pour in weapons used to attack civilians, thwart diplomacy, except U.S. would have done it years ago. That doesn't justify what Russia is doing. Nothing can, but it helps explain it. U.S. has treated Ukraine as a prize in its bid to encircle and weaken Russia long after Cold War ended. I wish Russia pursued more diplomacy, but fact is they're responding to a crisis they didn't start. Just listen to senior U.S. official Victoria Nuland and then U.S. Ambassador Jeffrey Pyatt choose the new Ukrainian government in 2014. This call was followed by a coup and billions of dollars in U.S. weapons since. How would U.S. respond if Russia did this in Canada? And then I wanted to quickly play this clip that Aaron Maté has been circulating. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. We'll try and play it.
The United States aids Ukraine and her people so that we can fight Russia over there and we don't have to fight Russia here.
So basically just open mouth admitting that we're trying to fight Russia, and we have been trying to fight Russia. So this is all important context for us to have, right? It's all, there. And it's also not that, basically the exact same point that Glenn Greenwald came on here and made. People are like, why didn't you fucking debate Glenn Greenwald? I agreed with what he was fucking saying, man. I don't want to go to war with over Russia and Ukraine either. And it's exactly what I retained from Chris Hedges' most recent piece that we broke down on our call-in show, where he also said this is international violation of the Geneva Convention, right? This is a war crime. International law condemns this. It also condemns it when the United States does it. That doesn't stop us. All that kind of good shit. What's up, disruptive bodies? Thanks for tuning in. Anyway, we can listen to more of Cenk's deranged rambling, but how hard would it have been for them, a so-called journalist, right, Cenk Uygur, to put up his fucking tweet and actually be like, this is actually what Aaron Maté thinks about this. No, I would rather create my caricature of the guy, and yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys can believe it, it's about to get even more unhinged. So we are going to keep watching this video. So sorry to force you guys to suffer through Cenk and Anna. I know some people are like, why are you even covering TYT? Well, it's because Aaron Maté responded to them, guys. He apparently felt it was worth responding to, so we got to do our duties. Anyway, let's take a look at the rest of this. It does get more insane, if you can believe it.
Also,
I can't wait to go tweeting.
What was that?
I was just saying, don't pretend like you don't love it. If you watch the fucking Vanguard, you've given yourself away. Just let's all bask in this together and be honest with ourselves.
Against all the people who criticize my beloved daddy, my imperialist warmonger daddy, Vladimir Putin. Hey, guys, everybody in Cray Zone and Glenn Greenwald, who is humiliating himself now, and everyone else in that faction, can you just say something really simple like Putin obviously started the war? No matter what you think of NATO and what we should have done, etc., and we've criticized what we should have done in the lead up to what happened, right? Because we're honest, unlike you dirtbag propagandists. Can you say, hey, that was a war of aggression? Hey, no, Glenn will come back to. I'm not gonna say anything. You can't force me to say anything. Yeah. Okay. So the only thing they ever say is how great Russia is and how terrible anyone who opposes Russia is. They're just the most embarrassing people on earth. Can you for a second celebrate that those guys are still alive?
No.
Instead of rushing to Putin's defense, You're pathetic.
No, here's more though. We said it was about to get worse, and it is. So it's one thing to use this updated story to put out pro-Putin propaganda and go after people with military power. It's avoided civilian areas and focused on NATO-tied military targets. Let's just pause right there. That's the relevant sentence there. I'm gonna repeat it. This is from Aaron Maté. This is his tweet. It's a screenshot from his tweet. He's gonna try to weasel his way out of this. But here's what he wrote verbatim. Putin avoided civilian areas and focused on NATO-tied military targets. Oh, that's fascinating because there's quite a bit of—
Just to be fair to TYT, I do think that Aaron Maté has come out and clarified that statement because it is apparent now that they are attacking civilian areas as well. So I think Aaron Maté has since amended that statement or at least clarified his statement. But yeah, I guess you got him there, TYT.
Well, no, hold on. At the beginning of this fucking clip, Aaron Maté did exactly what they said he would never do, which is run a retraction or an update. That is exactly what they're defending themselves for, right? Like, it's kind of a mess, right? It's all kind of a mess. And I do think it's funny when Aaron Maté gets wrapped up in these kind of deals, at least a little bit, because it's like, okay, well, you're best friends with Jimmy and Max Blumenthal, and they'll call that guy Sean a CIA agent. You don't have anything to say about how that's wrong. So it's like, it's hard for me to like get super worked up about this, but we made a video about how that was wrong. We made a video about how this is wrong, but it's also just like, hey man, do you not see how this is part of like an actual problem across all of independent media? But anyway, I'll digress.
No, that's a fair point to make, and it does reduce. Unfortunately, it does reduce Aaron Mate's credibility. The fact that he did basically run cover for Jimmy Dore when it was proven that Jimmy edited that article in order to make his point about COVID. That was cringy, and I was disappointed that Aaron Maté didn't come out and condemn that too. Because yeah, I mean, if you were being fair and if you weren't playing for a team, then you would have been fair about that. But that being said, on issue by issue basis, I still think Aaron's correct here. Let's take a look at some more of this, though. Like I said, there's a specific part I really want to get to in this video that's just going to make you guys fucking your heads explode.
Attacks are aimed only at military targets, but you've seen the pictures and you see them in front of you now.
For those of you who aren't watching but listening to the audio version of the show, the video included an apartment building, a residential apartment building that was attacked by Russians. And then you, at the very end, also see a hospital that was being attacked by Russians. But I mean, what could Aaron Maté do? Award-winning journalist who suddenly can't do any research or find any evidence of civilians being targeted by Russian troops. Because that's how award-winning journalists conduct business. That's how they do their jobs. What a freaking clown.
So when we invaded Iraq, Young Turks told you about all the things that the US government was doing wrong, the US military was doing wrong, and all the damage that was done to civilians in Iraq. Hundreds of thousands of civilians killed in Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. When Israel bombs places, we tell you it's bombed a school or a hospital, etc. And when Russia bombs schools, hospitals, and other places, we tell you about it. Isn't it weird that the guys who claim to be anti-imperialists say, okay, yeah, US did that, Israel did that, everybody else did something else. When it comes to Russia, they're like, no, they haven't bombed civilians. I don't know what you're talking about. Why would you rush out in the middle of a war where Russia's brought in 190,000 troops and there's a convoy of tanks rolling towards Kiev now, and you see these pictures, and you go, no way, they didn't hit civilians. The beloved Russia, beloved Putin didn't hit any civilians. Why humiliate yourself like that? Nah, they're total and utter joke.
Yeah, social media video.
Well,
from
let me
Ukraine's
just
second
respond to
largest
this
city.
really quick, because I like by and large I agree with that, right? Gavin and I have made in uncertain terms clear. Like, if you're trying to like talk about why Russia's justified in bombing the shit out of Ukraine, you're not an anti-war person, right? You're just not. So when you hear guys like Jackson Hinkle talk about how Ukraine deserves this shit, well, the Ukrainian people deserve to be fucking massacred for whatever the fuck you think their government did wrong. You're not an actual anti-war person. You don't believe in anti-war. You believe in something different, whatever it is. So we've been completely clear from jump that we condemn all of these fucking violent actions, that the United States should be pursuing diplomacy, etc., etc., etc. But to pretend like guys like TYT are always critical of the crimes of America as soon as they happen. And they're asking for the exact punishment that they would be asking for when Russia does it. We're just good people. Really, bro? Really? I haven't ever seen a video of fucking Cenk and Anna begging for the United States to be sanctioned by the international order because we bombed the shit out of Somalia. Never seen that video. They were happy to beg for us, plead for us, say sanction harder, Russia. When is the video that's ever come out where they said, why don't we sanction the West? They've been in fucking business almost 20 years. Where's that fucking video? Oh, we always call it the same from both sides. When were you campaigning for us to be sanctioned because of our involvement in NATO's literal destruction? I mean, destruction of Libya under Barack Obama. Where's that fucking Young Turks video? Okay, I've seen you done a lot of fucking whitewashing about what's going on in Syria, absolving the United States of our fucking crimes. Where are your videos campaigning for the sanctioning of the United States because of what we've done? Just the other day, Israel with United States bombed the shit out of Damascus, Syria. We bombed Somalia recently. We have sold massive numbers of weapons and bombs to Saudi Arabia for them to defensively bomb the shit out of a starving country called Yemen. Where are your videos demanding our sanctions for our role in that crime? That's what we're trying to point out when we say this shit. You can pretend all you want that you're some evil-headed or even-headed fucking calling balls and strikes, but we all know that's a fucking game. It's all a fucking game. You want to put the and people want to say all the time, oh, well, the economic sanctions are targeted at the oligarchs. No, they're fucking not, guys. Lines are massively long for people to get to work. They can't fucking use Apple Pay. They can't use any internet. Like, it's fucking hard for the people there. They're gonna fucking start. You want to know how sanctions work, guys? I read an article this morning that'll break your fucking heart. Break your fucking heart about men in Afghanistan now are selling their fucking kidneys because they can't afford to feed their families. And there's a whole photograph of like 7 dudes all lined up with a scar right here across their stomach because the United States stole all their fucking money. Okay? Where are your videos calling for us to be sanctioned? Right? Oh, we condemn it when the United States does. Yeah, that's bad. Okay. It's still not the same.
Kharkiv showed residential areas being shelled with apartment buildings shaken by repeated powerful blasts. Authorities in Kharkiv said at least 7 people had been killed and dozens injured. Did they bomb themselves, Aaron? Just like the civilians in Syria, used chlorine gas against themselves, as you and your clowns over at the Cray Zone love to allege? I mean, these people are disgusting. That's why I have the kind of reaction I do every time I hear that person's name, right? When I flip the bird and I show him my middle finger, it's because he deserves it. And I'll never apologize for it because I come from people who had been massacred in a genocide, and people like Aaron Maté helped build a narrative for genocide denialists. That's the kind of
Wait. Anna, tell them who did the genocide in Anna. Tell them who. What was their name? Anna? Maybe the Young Turks did the genociding of the Armenians? Maybe that was their name, Anna? What the fuck is I can't, what are you talking about? This is...
Yeah, sorry for making you guys watch 12 minutes of this video, but we had to get to this point. I come from a people that were genocided, and I can't stand people that deny genocide. If anyone's not familiar, I'm sure you all are, but Cenk Uygur himself was like the biggest Armenian genocide denier. He literally wrote like an article in his college paper about it. For years, refused to go back on that opinion. For years, refused to acknowledge that he was wrong, and literally named his own channel the Young Turks after the political faction responsible for the Armenian genocide. So yeah, pretty fucking mind-blowing to bring that up in this context while you're trying to attack Aaron Maté. Holy shit, guys. Let's go back and just take this in one more time. Holy shit.
And I show him my middle finger, it's because he deserves it. And I'll never apologize for it because I come from people who had been massacred in a genocide, and people like Aaron Maté helped build a narrative for genocide denialists. That's the kind of person.
People like your own fucking co-host literally helped build a narrative for denial of that genocide. That specific genocide, which you are talking about, you're sitting next to the man who helped build the narrative for its denial. Holy shit. And named his network after the fucking group responsible.
And never changed the name to this day is you proudly call yourself a host of the Young Turks. What do you mean, Anna? This is a game. It's not a game, right? Obviously it's not a game. I'm not trying to joke about the Armenian genocide, right? I just had to point out the fucking violent hypocrisy right there. Like, no, like you can't have your cake and eat it too, Anna. There's a reason Cenk hired an Armenian co-host. I'm sorry. There fucking is. Okay, because he's never been canceled for this shit, and he runs a progressive fucking talk show host. What the fuck? He puts her out there to say shit like this as like a fucking shield, because apparently, like, I have no idea why people would put up with this. If you're the type of person that like seeks to cancel people, Cenk is like your prime fucking target. Not because of some cringy sexist remarks he made in a blog post, but because he literally denied a genocide and named his fucking. And I'm not even saying that we should deplatform the guy. Obviously, I would never argue that. I'm just saying for those people, there's a lot of red meat there. No, it's just completely bonkers on its face. And these so-called reporters, I want to give him my middle finger. Would they have this journalist who's published his reporting in The Nation? Okay, this is not some obscure. They always they call it the cray zone. Okay, which that's actually kind of funny. Sometimes their reporting is fucking cray zone. I'll be honest. But sometimes it's spot on, and they're the only ones that will say it. That's what's fucked about the gray zone. Okay, sometimes it's really a spot on, and they're the only ones that say it. I'll give you a weird example. They were reporting about how the vaccine could manipulate your menstrual cycle way before that became common knowledge. And it was funny because I actually read that out loud sitting next to my girlfriend, and she was like, that's true. That happened to me. Like, you know what I mean? So there's good shit that they're like just fearlessly unafraid to publish, but there's also some shit where I'm like, don't agree with that. That was weird. So, whatever. But this is just a way to deride the reporting. Even if you won't take anything that the gray zone says seriously, the exact argument that they love to wield against Aaron Maté, which is reporting on the OPCW, in the whitewash and all of that. He published it in The Nation, under the fucking editorship of D.D. Gutenplan. Okay, the guy's not a radical fucking progressive. Okay, but the reporting was sound, and he made his case, and they won't even have him on to debate it, and they won't even have somebody on who is an equally as much of an expert as Aaron to debate it. Maybe they just have too much beef to get over it. They debated Russiagate. Okay, and it was respectful, but I thought Aaron spanked Cenk. I mean, Cenk just had no answers for him, and since then, they've never had him back on to actually debate it. They've just relentlessly fucking made up shit about him. So again, I would love to see Cenk try and sit down and debate Aaron Maté civilly. I know Aaron would probably do it if you sit down, civilly debate the OPCW, because in the Syria cover up and all this kind of madness. In the U.S. culpability and all of it, obviously, and is that he's somebody that I actually feel is qualified to make that argument. Like, I'm not qualified to make that argument. I've read his reporting, and I'm like, yeah, this seems legit. But I'm not like a fucking expert like he is, right? Which is why I haven't fucking been, let's fucking debate about this shit, But I would love to see him just absolutely fucking for one final time just be like, no, guys, this is the reality, and I will spank you in a debate to prove it in front of your whole audience. That would be legendary. But I get it if he just is like, fuck these people, I don't want to be involved with them at all.